situation analysis. It's the first thing when you plan a campaign and you somehow have a topic, or you think about a topic, that you do a situation analysis. So you think about, in this particular topic, who is your opponent? Who will be the target of the campaign? Who are the partners? Who are your allies you can maybe work together with? Maybe you will form a coalition for the campaign. What are the interests of the opponents and of the partners also? So the opponents will have some interest you need to hit or tackle. And the partners will have some interest. And maybe the interest of the partners is only to have their logo placed on the campaigning material, which is no good idea. So if you think about partners, what are their interests, and are they really interested in doing the campaign with you and really getting active? What is the context of the whole situation? What is the context of the topic? What is the media interested? How was the topic in the media in the past? How you want the topic to be in the media in the future? How you want to change maybe things through the campaign? So to do all this situation analysis, to look like really the circle, who are all the stakeholders, like really take time and think about, this is the topic, who are the stakeholders around it, who are the people that are somehow dealing or not dealing with the problem, and you want them to deal with the problem. And you need objectives. They need to be smart, like specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed, achievable in a certain time frame. And you think about the activities only when all of the above is clear. After you did the situation analysis, after you did the objectives, the strategy and the tactics, then you think about the specific activities, the specific actions. And what is sometimes forgotten is control of the campaign, like monitoring, like evaluation, and also saying goodbye to the campaign. Important point, campaign has a defined end, and at this defined end, you need to say goodbye to this particular campaign. You need to say goodbye for yourself, for your organization, for all supporters, activists. They all need to also feel this goodbye, together with a thank you, of course. Then we come to the aim. Reasonable, unmistakably and convincingly formulated, clearly pointed and checkable. That's again the smart thing. Positively formulated, so you're not against unfair trade, but make trade fair, or some positive formulation. So you need a scandal, but the slogan or your aim is something positive. So the scandal is the negative, and you want to turn it to something positive. The aim needs to be reachable and of the right size and relevant. And all of activists and supporters need to have the same understanding of the aim. Otherwise it's also problematic. And the internal aim does not need to be the same as the public demand. There's a example that I get from Greenpeace. They, of course, as an environmental organization, they wanted to do a campaign on the reduction of carbon dioxide by less car driving. That's quite logic for an environmental NGO. But they were not making this aim, less car driving to have less carbon dioxide. They didn't make this aim public. They said, because we had a huge discussion in Austria and in the whole of Europe, I think, about this thing called fine dust. I don't know if you call it like that in English, but fine dust that also comes from car emissions and from also driving cars, fine dust that gets into your lungs and is especially harmful to children. So there was this big discussion about fine dust, and Greenpeace did a campaign against fine dust. So you should drive less cars because then the fine dust is reduced, and that's better for your children. So that was the public demand, to reduce fine dust by not driving so much cars. Which worked, of course, much better. So that's also something important to keep in mind, that you don't have to be very honest with your aim. You can be, but you don't have to be. You can have a public demand that is different from your internal aim. Strategy, yeah, that's something you, of course, may know. That's just something to remind you. Strategy should define the target you hit, the target groups you work with, the topic, the time frame, the staff you work with, the money and resources you have, the impact control you will do, what impact your campaign actually has, and how to measure this impact. Some questions you can ask yourself while formulating a strategy. What is also important for strategy is to say no. No to certain actions, no to certain target groups, no to certain topics and certain medias. Because if you're doing a particular campaign and someone asks you, can't you do this, that, can't you include this or that, especially in coalitions this happens. No, just no. We're focusing this time on this campaign with this target group, with this medias, and maybe next half year we do something else, let's plan it, but this campaign is on exactly that. Simple message and one message. Methods that are actually coming from Asian martial arts. Choose a method of attack that the opponent doesn't expect. That's always important, especially if you are small and not very powerful. Use something new and innovative that really can hurt your opponent. And don't attack frontally, or only attack frontally if the opponent is already badly organized or demoralized, which normally is not the case. Don't mess with your solutions. You need a solution, you need an alternative to the scandal or to the problem. But don't mess with them. Keep them really till everyone begs for them. Literally begs for them. Don't fall into the participation trap. That's really important. I don't know if it happens here, but in Austria it always happens. When we have a campaign against a company or targeting a politician or the government or whatever, they tend to say, yes, that's a very important argument. We need to talk about it. We suggest that you stop the campaign and we go to the negotiation table. We can organize a round table on it. We can invite other stakeholders, and then you get to sit on this first round table. And then they say, well, it's fine that we're here. Let's talk. Maybe everyone wants to say their standpoint, and everyone says blah blah. Yeah, let's meet again in 6 weeks, and that's the best. And then you meet again, and you again talk about the same problem. And it really happens that you get into this trap of sitting at round tables for years and years, and it happened to me. I've been in a lot of round tables of companies, politics, whatever, round tables, platforms, whatever they tend to call it. Nothing too specific. It's maybe they call it advisory board or whatever. You then sitting there, you're wasting your resources, you're wasting your stuff, you're wasting position papers and everything. You're wasting your time preparing position papers, advocating for them, negotiating with them all the time. If you enter into such negotiation situations too early, and we're saying, okay, we stop the campaign, then this will kill your campaign and kill your organization and make you only sit around at round tables. You need to participate in realizing the solution, but on your terms and your solution, not their solution. That's also why you need to wait till they really, really, really beg you for your solution and they really want to take up your solution. Then you can enter into the negotiation. But under fire. We're not stopping the campaign and then entering negotiations. We're entering negotiations and the campaign continues till we have something concrete, some at least very concrete first steps. And then maybe we stop the campaign and continue on with the negotiation. You should have, for example, 3 reports, and they all have awfulness and immoral profit in them, in certain parts. The one is on merchandising, the one is on sportswear, the other one is on, I don't know, the International Olympic Committee and how mean they are. And you bring them not all at once, but different scandals at different times, and you build up the awareness level. And only here, when you have raised the awareness level to kind of the climax, of course you don't know when it is exactly, but don't do it here. Don't enter into negotiations here or here.
Would the same logic apply for a short-term campaigns, or campaign by nature cannot be a month or 2 months long?
It can be 1 month or 2. I would say 6 months is the best for a campaign. Strategy and plan need to be adjustable, but if you adjust your plan and strategy, never lose sight with your aim. And you need a strategy for crisis. What happens when nothing happens? What happens if you make your first press conference, make your campaign launch, have your first photo moment, present your first scandal, and no one's interested? What to do then? One very important point of the strategy is who your target group is. And some questions to that is what moves your target group and what is really important to them, so that you really start with the needs or the experience of your target group. Which interest in your target group can you address? And also get your target group defined as clearly as possible. So, as we sometimes tend to say, the public at large. No, the public at large is not our target group. And don't convert the converted, which doesn't mean forget the converted. The converted meaning your usual target group, the target group you usually work with, also your supporters and activist space. You need to work with them, but try to think out of this bucket. Important issue here is make your concern a concern of the target group. That's an Austrian example, and that's an example from a completely different field. Austrian government is doing budget cuts to the Austrian railways. And these budget cuts were mostly affecting the railway workers, like their so-called privileges, or their working rights, or their pensions, and so on. And what the trade union of railway workers did against that, they said this is not the government against the railway workers, that's the government against the railway. And everyone needs the railway, and I need the railway, and every village needs the railway, and Austria needs the railway, and they were working with individuals and families, like normal people, who said, I need the railway, that's why I'm against these budget cuts.
Why isn't the campaign in that case like through the public, like taking a longer road, but couldn't they just have the railway people be on strike?
They did negotiations with the government directly. This all failed because their image was so bad in the public also. When they went on strike, everyone was saying they are striking for their privileges, you know. And with that campaign, it was not about their privileges. It was about the railway, and everyone needs the railway. So it was good to actually make the way around, because the direct way just didn't work anymore, or never worked. Different from the target group, whom you work with is the target. That's the one you want to hit. The target needs to be clearly defined and as simple and as simplified as possible. So the best is concrete person, company is not so good, or politician. For example, Nike is fine, but Phil Knight as a person is someone much more interesting. Or I don't know if you have seen this video that was on Facebook and everywhere in the last weeks from Solidar, Switzerland, about Nespresso. It's a video or a campaign where they call Nespresso to become fair. And they are not targeting Nespresso, they are not targeting Nestlé, they are targeting George Clooney. And they say, write an email to George and ask George to make Nespresso fair. So it appeals to people because people like George Clooney, and people who want to write to George Clooney. Why not? Okay, anyway, the target you choose needs to be hit where it hurts. For example, if you have a multinational company that invests a lot into their image, maybe into their clean and environmentally friendly image, you can hit this image and somehow destroy it or scratch at it, and that can help to make this company, for example, react. So in the end, campaigns are only successful if they cause pain to your target. If they think, yeah, well, it's a nice idea, maybe we take it up, it won't help a lot. Then to move on to criteria for success, the aim, we already talked about that, reachable and believable. Clear strategy that can react on changes in the framework around. The campaign needs to be logistically prepared well, so you, at the beginning, you know what resources you need and where you get them from and how you get them and what is your budget and what is your other resources you have. The campaign team is motivated, also very, very important. The campaign team is not only motivated, they are convinced that this campaign is it. This campaign is the way for a better world. The topic and the dynamic needs to motivate others that may join the team and others being the target group. The internal and external communication works. That's also very important, and the external communications, yeah, of course, we know we write a press release and it somehow works or not, but the internal communication is sometimes forgotten. It's most important to have your organization involved and informed. Your co-workers, your activists, your supporters, to have them informed and involved before you inform the press. That also happens in my organization in Switzerland, that people are informed by press releases or by articles in the news. That's no good idea. You need to have this communication, the internal communication, and not only with the campaign team, but with the whole organization before, so that the whole organization knows. And if some journalists or some supporter calls, I don't know, the fundraising department or the PR department, all of them need to know. Visualize a campaign as exact as possible from the start. That's again a thing of planning, but also a thing of which pictures you may create. And words are fine, but pictures are much better. Make your campaign outstanding from every day, and make it personalized, we already had that, and suitable for TV. That's also important. 80% of people are getting their information from TV. 2% from NGOs. That's a survey that is from Ireland and that is quite old, but I'm sure it's still kind of relevant. Hit hard and be merciless with your target. And like in the martial arts again, use the power of your opponent for yourself. That means use George Clooney, or use an advertising campaign that is there and do some ad busting on it, like some changing of the message of the advertising. So use something where your opponent puts a lot of money and power in, and use this power for your own, and to throw this power back to your target. Rules for radicals, and that's a very shortage of that. Power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have, or you might have. The company or the politician you're targeting thinks you might have some reports that will still come out, some research, some scandals you could still bring up. Or you might be able to organize another 100,000 signatures, even if you are not. If they think you are powerful people, it helps you extremely. Never go outside the experience of your people. That means, again, start with the experience of your target group. Whenever possible, go outside of the experience of your enemy. Try something they don't know. Make the enemy live up to their own book of rules, as long as they stay in their book of rules and they work like politicians tend to work, like companies tend to work, then it's good for you. If you try it the other way and they stick to what they usually do. Ridicule is a man's or women's most potent weapon, meaning a good laugh is the best thing you can make. A good laugh, a good joke, whatever, about a multinational, about a certain politician, about your target. And, very important, the sixth one, a good tactic is one that your people enjoy. That's also very important, that everyone of the campaign team, everyone campaigning with you is really enjoying what he or she does. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. We always tend to say the world is complicated. There is no good and evil. There is good and evil. We're the good ones, they are the evil ones. And your opponent needs to be evil, and you need to make it clear to your target group, they are the evil ones. And
context where there are no, well, of course there are big corporations present here, but the enemy as such, you cannot reach the enemy. The enemy is across the sea somewhere.
We have exactly the same problem in Austria, as all the big multinational companies don't have their headquarters in Austria. They have them in Germany or US or wherever. But still we are doing these campaigns, and we are going to their representative offices they have in Austria, in Vienna or somewhere else in Austria. And that's maybe the same for Estonia, because I'm quite sure that Nestlé and all the others have at least representative offices. And you could stage a photo moment there, you could hand over signatures. Of course, the only thing you will get from them, same as we get from all in Austria, is well, okay, we are taking this to our headquarters. But still, they are taking it to the headquarters. And maybe it helps if from different countries the representative offices tell the headquarters there is something going on. What also was tried and works very well and is sending a positive message is to congratulate people for buying fair trade. So I don't know if you have world shops in Estonia. No. Or you have markets who are selling fair trade, supermarkets or whatever?
Yes.
Some? Okay,
Some.
you have, okay.
Every market has something.
Okay, then you can put a spy next to the cashier desk of the market, of the supermarket, and you have a crowd outside, and every time someone buys a fair trade product and your spy sees it, informs the crowd outdoor, and then the crowd is cheering and saying thank you and giving a flower or a fair trade flower or whatever. Yeah. So that
scare people from buying.
I don't know what works in Estonia.
One and only occasion.
I'm just saying that was done to actually congratulate people on their buying decisions. And
Here's your volunteer action.
Yeah.
It's a classic volunteer action, yeah. But this can also influence the other people who are coming out of the supermarket, because they think, what's happening here? Why is he congratulated and I'm not? Before coming to concrete tools, when thinking tools and actions are actually tools, think which tool for which target group. Not every action works for every target group. What do we reach by the tool or by the action? That's something that has been said a lot of times, and I will say it again. Have human interest stories. 30,000 people die each day. Such a big number. It's such an awfulness that no one can really Of course, the number they can remember, but it doesn't get into people's heart. If you say Sylvia had to die at the age of 3 because of the lack of medicine, of very simple medicine, that's a story that people can imagine and that gets to their heart. In the case of smokers, so many people are dying of lung cancer each day, but you say concrete stories.
I quit smoking when I saw this kind of movies.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I quit eating pork when I saw some really bad occasions when pigs were killed.
Yeah.
Now I'm back to eating pork occasionally, but that moment, no, tonight no pork. It's horrible.
Yes.
No, but I do believe such only horror stories can get you emotional for a while, but they are not sustainable. They're not sustainable.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they are automatically sustainable now. But they do work to change something. They do work to make.
Temporarily, perhaps.
Yeah, at least.
And they make you think about it.
And they make you
Poor
think about
kids.
it. Provoke with your stories and create images. Already when planning campaign, think about what is the picture you want to create, what is the pictures you want to use, what is the message you send, and how to put this message into a picture. And another important point, no action without your logo, your campaign or organization logo. But also, please, no logo without action, which also happens sometimes.
We also have created a code of conduct for the NGOs to use, so they wouldn't be very bad pictures, but showing people in decent situation. So how you put a decent picture with a serious problem together? Or in campaigning, can you use negative pictures?
By applying exactly the code of conduct. The code of conduct of Concord is not saying you're not allowed to use negative pictures. It is saying you should use a picture in a broader context. You should give the motive on the picture, the person pictured, the possibility to tell his or her story by his or her own, and so on and so forth. It doesn't, and it should not stereotype. Yes.
About the name. I have a lot of pictures, but I have no idea who they are. Can I name one girl Sylvia if I really need to?
If you put a star to it and explain it, yes.
But it's not really Sylvia, but maybe she is. Okay.
What we mostly do in our context is that we make up the names because they don't want to be named. Because they, like for example, workers in factories, they don't want to be named because they're afraid to get fired.
Okay.
Images. This was a campaign by the German Clean Clothes campaign. 2 people are sweating for Adidas. And then you have Oliver Kahn. He used to be the German goalkeeper and was sponsored by Adidas and is earning monthly 540,000 euros. And on the other hand, you have Gloria Delgado. She's actually sewing the Adidas shoes, and she earns 180 euros per month. So that's actually a good picture, also with this words attached to it. 2 people are sweating for Adidas, which somehow makes clear that there is somehow a scandal between 540,000 monthly and 180 euros per month.
And actually, Oliver Kahn was agreed to that to participate in that type of campaign. The goalkeeper Kahn.
No, we didn't.
You didn't have any.
We didn't respect his rights
But
regarding to the code of conduct, and even if we would ask him, he would not be allowed to participate because he has
So
signed a contract with Adidas
right.
prohibiting that.
So we are allowed to use public faces actually for our campaign.
Yes. People who are in the public sphere, as it said, you are usually allowed.
If
to.
I take picture of pregnant woman who smokes in the street, it's legal or not?
No.
If it's outdoors, then you can, yes. Because no, but she's.
If you take a portrait, no. If
Yeah,
you take a
okay.
group, okay, could be. But if you take a portrait of one single woman, no.
But some
You need to get if you want to
Okay.
use it for a campaign.
Okay, because when you picture people in public
I
places.
I don't know about Estonian law, but just what I know
So
generally
how is
about
that different
pictures.
from Oliver Kahn being pictured
He's
in a-
not
Because
pregnant.
he is in the public sphere. That's the point.
Ah.
He is a
So
public.
he's regarded as a public figure.
Yeah,
And-
he's
and
a public figure. Politicians are a public figure. These kind of people.
and you
Celebrities are public figures, but not just a woman.
Okay, but a
on the
politician,
street.
pregnant politician.
Yeah.
with a-
That would be possible. Alliances are an important tool to connect with other movements and organizations, and also think of innovative and unusual partners. Why alliances? Because alliances lead to a better image or a change of image for yourself. If you do a campaign together with another one who has another target group, that could also lead to a better image of your campaign and you appealing to another target group. You get by alliances new competences and resources from the other organization. You get, of course, a broader impact because you can also target their target group. You can learn from each other, and you can, from each other, recruit new members, which is sometimes problematic, but which can also help both of you. Yeah, coalition is really the thing to do, but not lowest common denominator coalitions. So when you do a coalition, that you really have committed partners, that you really have committed partners who really want to do this campaign, and not only, well, okay, we do it with you. I will switch immediately to the media. We will not be able to set the agenda of the media. The media sets their own agenda and they make their own decisions. So what we will be able to do is not to influence their agenda, but to have something that fits into their agenda, that fits into their news agenda, and that's exactly what we need to try. Media work needs to be done on a regular basis because journalists need to know you, trust you, and know that you will provide them service, basically. What we did in our media work that we built up over the last 10 years is that we are telling them we are the one-stop shop for development topics. You call us and you will get information. So that means they're calling us and asking us a question. We are not just telling them, well, you can have an interview on that with our press officer. Of course, we are telling also that, but we are also telling them you could have an interview with this contact in university and with this contact of another NGO and with this person from a research institute or whatever. And that is exactly what helps journalists to, that they think they get service. You don't only try to push your information, but they get a service from you. That's the important point. Journalists always have absolute priority. That's something what everyone needs to know in the organization. If a journalist calls, then no one is in a meeting. If a journalist calls and wants to speak with someone, there are no Skype meetings, no real meetings, no nothing. If a journalist calls, the person he or she wants to reach is available. If not, he or she calls back in 5 to 10 minutes maximum. One NGO problem is that usually we don't have good photos, we don't have good video material, but that's something we need. And the journalists need photos and video material in high resolution, so it makes sense to really invest some money. What works in media work is somehow accidental. You cannot plan. You can have the best organized press conference and no one is taking it up. That happens. And you can have a very small just press release and everyone's taking it up because it just works. Use the internet but don't believe the hype. Meaning the internet is not the most important. People still get their information from TV, as said, and from newspapers. But the internet can be used to show your own information, that's one thing. You can, in the internet, perfectly show your own information with your pictures, your wording and everything. You can't do that in any newspaper. You can do that on your website. It's the important thing to use it for certain things, but not thinking if it's online, then it's everywhere. Even more, this goes for the social media. Use the social media, but don't believe the hype again. And this is especially interesting when you compare it to email, social network and email. Because in all research done, social networks like Facebook, Twitter, whatever, are far less effective than just simple email. And it is a reliable way to get more people on your website, so to get more visitor sessions, which is also nice. If you have a link in the email saying sign here, and then people go to your website. And it works basically everywhere. Of course, this is changing, and I'm not saying you shouldn't use Facebook. We're also using Facebook, and it's quite nice. It's good for activist group. It's good for the people who are on Facebook, but it's additional. What can e-campaigning achieve? What not? It can achieve more pressure, and it has very low costs per new supporter. So the cost for sending out an email and for someone signing your petition then is basically zero. So especially if you compare it to mailings or leaflets, that's much more costly, of course. What it cannot achieve is instant results, and it's no zero cost or zero effort result, because the costs you may save on printing, you need to invest in human resources to send out the emails, to send out the reminder and so on. So it makes sense to really remind people and to tell people, hey, now this is really getting urgent. Or we have this or that new information and this is really urgent now. And we have only, I don't know, 5,000 signatures missing, and then we will change the world completely. Yeah, that's how Avas is doing it. Right?
And I believe it.
Yeah, exactly. You believe it at least for the moment you believe it. One ask at a time. That's also one important thing. Don't send out an email. Well, we would have 4 very important urgent appeals. They are one on the garment industry and one on the toy industry and one is on fair trade. And please sign all 4 of them. No. One thing in one email, very simple. And also when they click to go on the website, the link should go exactly to the website where the petition is. Short explanation, petition and signature. No left and right, also sign for this or also sign for that. No, next email. I also want to share other tools with you. That's just a wild list of tools. Then this thing, what I really like, I never did it, was when you have a big conference happening, like an EU summit or whatever, to put photos of people on the street, like for example of people in developing countries, and the finance ministers arriving have to go over them with their cars. On the other hand, you can have something very positive, like a human chain or white bands done by pupils. Mainly things we don't need to go through now, but when you're planning your next action, you maybe take these questions out and go through them. That's quite important things that should be tackled before you're doing the action and not when you're out on the street. What I want to highlight is how to thank supporters and activists. That's very important. When you do an action, you engage your activists, you engage your supporters, and that also goes for the whole campaign. Think of something to thank them, like a small present, like having a party afterwards, whatever. And also how to celebrate the success of the action, or how to celebrate even the failure. And use the celebration of the failure to think about how to do it differently, maybe.
So it's you call failure?
Internally, yes.
New beginning.
Exactly. Yeah. Break the rules that you just heard. Quite a lot of campaigns do exactly that.